Welcome to the Swishlist Podcast, where we talk all things basketball. Hosted by two brothers, Moses and Roman. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome in Season 2, Episode 1 of the Swishlist Podcast. That's right, your favorite duo, Roman and Moses. We are back. It's been a while. It has been some time, but the NBA season has started, and so have we. Season 2. Thank you so much for being patient with us. We're excited for what we've got to talk about this week. Yeah, I know normally basketball is overshadowed by the NFL. Basketball is normally overshadowed by the MLB playoffs. Heck, you might even just not want to watch basketball because you're not ready to get back into it until after Christmas Day. If that's you, I understand. But for the diehards, the true believers, the day one fans, we are here to give you weekly basketball content yet again for another season. So very excited to be here. This year also will be tracking Roman's season, which will be kind of fun. This might be the most publicity Ontario College has ever gotten in terms of media coverage. But excited to be here. Glad to be back.
It's great to have a little break for summer, but we got to get back into it. I'm happy to start from the beginning of the season this time instead of just right into the middle of it.
Yeah.
So it'll be different. It'll be interesting. We'll get to do a lot more, but I'm excited.
On this episode, we're going to talk through some of our predictions for the season. And then we're also going to talk about some of the high-level topics that have come up this week as well. So Roman's sporting a new mustache. It's almost No Shave November or Movember, depending on what you choose to do. We're trying to figure out at the office whether we're going to do mustaches or not. So exciting to see what things will look like next episode. But Roman is showing up early. We're going to talk about Victor Wembanyama because you can't cover basketball and not mention him within the first 2 minutes of a podcast. We're also going to talk through maybe some of our early reactions to a couple of the top teams and maybe who's in the middle of the pack. But as we get into it, we want to start by talking about this face of the league conversation. This is something that's ongoing from last year, something we've also seen from the playoffs. It feels like in today's NBA, we've got some generational superstars that are at the tail end of their careers. That's a LeBron James, it's Kevin Durant, Steph Curry. And I'm not saying these players are not still great players. I'm just saying they've got more years behind them than in front of them. And we're at this interesting moment where I don't think those players are ready to hand off the reins quite yet. Kevin Durant, there was a report that came out that said he wants to break Kareem's record for scoring, that he wants to play until 40. But when and who do we hand the face of the league to? Who is that going to be? When is that going to happen? Roman, what are your thoughts?
As of now, it's got to be as soon as LeBron retires. Like before then, I don't know if you can give it to anybody else. I mean, the guy is basketball. The guy has been basketball for at least the last 15 years. I mean, that's when his MVP started. So it's like he has been the face of the league, and LeBron has said this. He's not stopping until he starts to slow down. So if LeBron isn't one of the top players in the league, he's not going to be playing. So I think until then, it's going to be LeBron. But after that, this is where you trickle into like, does Giannis take over even though he's getting a little bit older? Or do we go to a younger guy like a Jason Tatum or a Luka? And my thinking is that we go down to one of those guys and it's going to be a Luka type player. So I'm saying Luka. I think Luka because he's entertaining and the Mavs are entertaining. I think eventually he'll probably end up with a few MVPs. He's what he did a couple nights ago. He threw up one of the craziest game winners we can say now that I've ever seen before. And it's stuff like that. It attracts people to basketball. And Luka does that kind of stuff all the time. So I think if he can rein in on his complaining to refs and stuff like that, then he is the face of the league.
Yeah, this is tough because I know LeBron did talk about how if he's not an elite player, he's not going to play in the game. But you can definitely see a regression in his game. In this season, you look at the past 3 games, you can see a regression. That's not to say that the Lakers are not a good basketball team when he's on the floor. They are outscoring other teams when he plays. When he's off the court, they're not playing as well. The Lakers, they need LeBron James just like they have every year. It's the same conversation. When are we going to hand it to AD? AD's just not that guy. But with LeBron, where you start to see the really obvious signs of age is he doesn't even contest jump shots. Like LeBron at this point in his career doesn't put a hand up to contest the jump shot, which it blows me away because it doesn't even feel right watching it
It's
on
not something
television.
you see, no.
No,
But it's like
no, and
only
it's
LeBron could do that.
yes, and it's such an easy thing and it's such a small thing. But to me, it's one of those signs where LeBron really is taking steps back, where you can see him trying to conserve energy on one side of the floor. He's still a dominant player. He can still drive the ball whenever he wants to, but him imposing his will on the entire game just isn't a reality anymore. And so for the Lakers, they're going to be in tight games against mediocre teams. The only way they're going to beat a team like Phoenix is Devin Booker isn't playing, Bradley Beal isn't playing, and even then it's going to be close. And so this year really does feel like it's the same story with the Lakers. He just took a couple months off. So in terms of who the face of the league is going to be, it becomes a tougher conversation for me because you would look at a guy like Jason Tatum, but it just seems like he doesn't have that it factor. It just seems like he doesn't have that dog in him. You look at guys like Giannis, Jokic, a little bit boring, not really polarizing. What's the story with those players? Now, Luka, he's got an attitude. He might be polarizing, but yet again, it's maybe a smaller market. Maybe it's because he's from overseas. I'm not quite sure, but I don't know if he's going to captivate the masses the same way he captivates basketball fans. And that might also be because his game's just so below the rim more than most. Zion Williamson should have been that guy. Can't stay healthy, can't put a season together, can't issues off the court. John Morant, issues off the court. Now we're looking at this guy, Victor Wembanyama, who certainly is polarizing, certainly gets a lot of media coverage. Is a French player going to be the face of the league? I don't know. I think this is a major problem for the league. There's a chance that guy might not even be in this league yet. So only time will tell. If I was going to make a decision on who that player is going to be, wow.
It also could be an underdog as of right now too, like, I don't know if we think of it in the past, like the handoff, you have to go from Imma go back from the Michael Jordan times. Imma say it
Okay.
goes from Michael Jordan, then it went to Kobe for a while, then it jumped to LeBron. Imma say that. Is
It
that
was
is that
kind of
pretty valid to say?
where it's tough is in that time, we were dealing with the same stuff we're having now then, where it was, is it T-Mac? Is it Vince Carter? Is it Kobe? Right? Like who is it?
Okay,
Because
so you think we're at that end of Jordan, beginning of
yeah,
Kobe era type thing.
I think we're in this in-between phase where we're not quite sure who the guy is gonna be. And I don't think we're gonna know that like there's a chance they may not even be in the league quite yet, or they just haven't developed to the right point. Mind you, Kobe didn't start when he first came into the league, so that's definitely a possibility. But I think that there's going to be a transition stage of a couple of years where there's not going to be a clear face of the NBA.
Anthony Edwards? Just throwing a name out.
Anthony Edwards, a very athletic
Really
player,
could
could
be.
be.
Really could
If he
be.
wasn't in Minnesota, if he leaves Minnesota, maybe.
Yeah,
If he
yeah.
if he leaves
If he's in
Minnesota,
a bigger
maybe.
market, yeah.
Yeah, oh
If he's
yeah.
on
If
the
he
right
if he
team.
played for the Knicks, oh man.
Yeah.
So it's a conversation we're gonna have to put a pin in. I'm curious, anybody who's listening, I want to know who you think the next face of the NBA is. We talked a little bit about Wembanyama. We've now gotten to see him play a couple games. Roman, what are some of your early thoughts on Victor?
The guy looks scary. That's obviously first impressions from anybody who should be watching. He
Yeah.
can play defense on your quickest guard, then block your center, grab the rebound, go coast to coast, and do a step back three. The guy can do it all, and he's 7'3". It's unbelievable what he's doing on the court. It's just can he stay healthy is going to be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But if he can stay healthy, the hype is there. This guy is going to change Spurs basketball to what it used to be, and there's no reason he shouldn't.
Yeah, it's pretty wild that every time the Spurs find themselves in mediocrity, they get a generational talent with the number 1 overall pick. It's happened 3 times. The last 3 times they've had the number 1 pick, they got the Admiral, Tim Duncan, and now Victor Wembanyama. I mean, talk about the lottery of lotteries. Wembanyama is legit. He's legit. Now, what his ceiling is, I don't know. But if his floor is Kristaps Porzingis, if his floor is Porzingis, then he's going to be a fantastic player. I genuinely believe that because I do think that's his floor. I think his floor is the unicorn. I think it's Porzingis. And from there, I think he can take continued steps further. And it seems like a lot of the training focus for Wemby has been more on flexibility and building muscle over time, which is interesting to me. But I mean, this guy came into the league block Kyrie Irving right away. This guy's coming into the league. He's throwing baseline dunks, finger in Dylan Brooks's face. Like, he is unapologetic about the way that he's playing basketball. And I'm here for it. I am here for it. Now, I don't love how NBA media can't go a single
Oh,
day without showing me Wembanyama in my timeline. He's like Taylor right now on my timeline. I swear on Sundays, I'm looking at Victor Wembanyama, Taylor Swift. Wemby, Taylor
it's
Swift,
one or
over and
the
over and
other
over and
every
over and over
time.
again. That's it. That's all I'm seeing right now. But I'm excited to see what this kid does. I genuinely am. He's going to win Rookie of the Year too. I mean, I'll put that out there. If we're going to talk Rookie of the Year, it's not even a question. There's going to be so much media coverage. It's impossible to overtake this guy unless he goes out with an injury.
It's the one thing that'll stop him is injuries. And I mean, we've seen the videos of like how flexible he is.
Yeah.
I'm thinking and I'm hoping that he is just going to stay healthy.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I mean, have you even heard Scoot's name since he started in the
Dude,
league?
he has not been putting up good numbers, and it's the perfect time too because Simons just got hurt.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the perfect time for him to kind of take over as like point guard. I got Malcolm Brogdon, a great defender on my side. Let me
Yep.
kind of take over and score some points. But like, I'd look at his stat lines and I'm seeing like 7 points and stuff like that. It's just, I had high hopes for this guy, so it kind of hurts to see it. But I mean, we're only three or four games in, so give it a couple weeks, maybe he'll catch his feet under him and start performing better.
Yeah, I mean, Wembanyama's been playing professional basketball, and Scoot was playing in G League level basketball. Let's give this guy some time and see what happens. Want to switch the conversation while we're on the topic of early predictions, maybe some projections. Who's your early MVP? If you're going to pick somebody to be there at the end of the year, who's winning that MVP, Roman?
I'm sticking with that face of the league talk,
Okay.
and I'm going with Luca. I think Luca's going to win MVP this year.
Wow.
I think the pair of him and Kyrie is going to work out a lot better this year. I think they're going to win enough games for him to be in that conversation because I feel like the knock has been this guy's a 6 seed. Oh, he's a 7 seed. So I see them being a top 4 seed, top 4 or 5 seed in the West. I know the West is tough right now, but I see them up there. And I think he's going to put up over 30 points a game and close to triple-double numbers.
Yeah, I'm going to go for a throwback answer. You know, the MVP's been dominated by the bigs. I'm going to switch this back to Giannis Antetokounmpo. There's more eyeballs on the Bucks this year than there have been in the last 2 years. Let me tell you why. It's because there's a guy named Damian Lillard at point guard. The superstar status level has gone to a tier that we have not seen in Milwaukee because Dame's a legitimate baller. I mean, we saw that in game 1. Now, I know that next game, he may not have played well. But I think that one of the biggest things when it comes to the MVP is the narrative. You're saying it with Luka because you're saying he's going to score, they're going to win games. Kyrie Irving, polarizing player. There's a narrative that can get him that award. I think that there's a clear narrative to get Giannis there. And I think that Damian Lillard is going to be right there next to him to prove it. There's going to be enough eyeballs watching him play that people aren't going to be tired of just seeing the Giannis show. Dame's going to give a unique element and that high level shot making, big time scoring, especially from deep, especially from the 3-point line. The Bucks aren't going to be boring anymore on television, and I think that's going to make a huge difference. So my early MVP is going to be Giannis Antetokounmpo. Only time will tell for all of these. Up next, early defensive player of the year. This is kind of a tough one to predict.
It is tough. It's really hard to predict, but I've got Evan Mobley.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going Evan Mobley. I think we're on this track of big men winning it as of right now. I think everybody's sick of Rudy winning the award. And I think we're going to have a top 3 mix for the bigs in terms of Brook Lopez possibly winning it, Jared Jackson Jr., maybe even Giannis getting in there. And then I think Evan Mobley is going to be up there. And I think he takes it. I think he's young. He can defend a lot of positions. As long as he doesn't get hurt, I think this guy should win the Defensive Player of the Year.
It's not a terrible pick right now. Evan Mobley, his odds are plus 600, second best in the league to win Defensive Player of the Year. So there's a lot of money on Mobley, and Cleveland probably takes another step from last season. He's got a year's worth of basketball under his belt. Garland's got another year's worth. Donovan should be stepping up even more as a leader. So I don't think it's a terrible pick. Right now, the top 3 players, odds-on favorite right now is Jaren Jackson Jr. at plus 500. Next, it's Evan Mobley at plus 600, followed by Anthony Davis and Giannis tied at plus 800. Now, because I have Giannis winning MVP, I do not believe he's going to win Defensive Player of the Year. I just don't think that NBA voters want to ever put anybody in a class with Michael Jordan. I think they will actively try to make sure that people can't do Michael Jordan things because they just get to decide. So if he
did it twice, I'd have already done it once. So
yeah, you see what I mean?
It would definitely be more in that conversation. Yeah, that's dangerous territory.
I do think this is a tough award. I think that's why you see the same guy get picked multiple times. I'm going to stick with the current odds-on favorite, that being Jaren Jackson Jr. As winning that award back-to-back. I think it's one that it wouldn't be surprising. It makes me feel guilty because we're just picking the 1 and 2, but genuinely, I feel like that's the smartest choice today. And so that's where I'm going to go with my pick. Now, most improved player. This may actually be the toughest of all of the ones to choose. Who's a guy that you're looking at right now that could be a household name come end of the season?
The obvious answer for me here is Mikal Bridges. Him being transferred over from the Suns, we got to see it for 20 games towards the end of the season with the Nets, him being the main player on that team. But the situation's kind of weird there because Cam Thomas is putting his numbers up lately. That Nets team looks really interesting. I'm going to say Mikal Bridges. I was thinking maybe somebody like a Cade Cunningham too, because this Detroit team looks kind of good this year. Okay. Young players, and I think he should be able to lead them. But he's kind of my underdog one right now, and right now I'm gonna stick with Mikal Bridges.
Mikal Bridges is the odds-on favorite at plus 800. I genuinely think that if he didn't have those 20 games with the Nets, he would easily clear. It's just going to be whether or not he's got the same momentum that he did last season. Your top 5 for who could win this award, you got Mikal Bridges at plus 800, Tyrese Maxey at plus 1,000, Jordan Poole plus 1,100, Cade Cunningham plus 1,300, and Scotty Barnes and Austin Reeves tied at plus 1,400, with a sleeper pick being Anthony Simons at plus 15. I'm going to go with Jordan Poole because he is going to be able to put up as many shots as he wants in Washington. We've already seen it ruffle some feathers, and we already know that he does not care. Jordan Poole is going to shoot the ball. There's a good chance he's going to average 27 a game plus. He may even clear 30. and Washington's not going to win very many games. But that's not what people care about in the NBA. It's a narrative driven award. And I do believe that Jordan Poole is going to be able to pull it off. Who I would want to win it would be Cade Cunningham. I think that'd be good for the league. But I'm going to go with Jordan Poole as my pick, plus 1,100 currently to win most
I like that.
improved
That's
player.
probably the safest pick because I feel like we usually look at points the most. Like when we
Yeah.
look at improvement from last season, lower market in last year,
Yeah.
his improving numbers were crazy from the year before. I think he raised his scoring average close to 10 a game. And again, we look at points because that's what we determine for a player. So I think Jordan Poole was around 20 points a game last year.
Mhm.
If he can get close to that 30 mark, it's definitely him. I think Mikal was mid 20s and he'll probably get high 20s. So I like the Jordan Poole pick.
Okay, so who is your sleeper? Who's a player that nobody's talking about? Maybe it's a role player, maybe it's somebody who you think's going to show up as an all-star level player. Who is going to be more of that household name? Last season, it's obviously, Austin Reeves became that guy. You can make the argument Mikal Bridges became that guy, even though he played in the finals. Give me your favorite sleeper player, or maybe a few that people are going to know by the end of the season.
I want to go young guys here and say the Thompson twins, but I mean they're rookies. So I think obviously they're going to have a bit of an impact. They're on lower level teams right now.
Yeah, I've got a sleeper name. I don't think this is an all-star level player, but he's going to become a household name as a role player, and he's key to this team potentially winning a championship. I'm going to the Milwaukee Bucks. Yes, you're going to hear about the Bucks a lot on this episode. That's why I got the green hat, even though my lighting doesn't show it. I'm going with Marshawn Beauchamp. I believe that he is the key to Milwaukee winning a ring. I think Giannis, Dame, Middleton, Lopez, they're going to get them to the playoffs. But in those key matchups, when you need a signature bucket from that next guy, I think by the end of this season, Bouchamp's going to be that key player that they need in those clutch spots coming off the bench. I genuinely think he's got that potential. And we've heard from the All-Stars over with the Bucks talking about this guy and how hyped they were to see how much time he spent in the gym, how much his game has progressed. We've gotten to see him play some spot minutes so far in the season, but he's a guy that I'm going to be keeping my eye on. I think by the end of the year, he's going to be talked about on every single major network because he's going to show up when he's needed most.
I like it. He made major improvement last year, so I think that's a great pick. And for me, I'm going to take the Pacers duo as of right now, Tyrese Halliburton and Miles Turner. I think those two are going to have a great year. I'd look out for the Pacers in the East. I think they're going to slowly creep up on teams. I think they're going to steal a few games from some pretty high seeds. Tyrese Halliburton coming off his time with Team USA, he looks really good. I would expect him to end top 2 probably in assists per game this year. And we all know what Miles Turner can do. Very good shooter, one of the best defending centers in the league. So I think that duo and the Pacers are kind of my dark horse underdog right now.
Give me a comp for the Pacers. What team have we seen historically that the Pacers remind you of?
With Pacers, like I would see this as kind of mid 2010s Pacers era. Paul George
Okay.
coming out of nowhere, then getting to the Eastern Conference Finals, and Roy Hibbert having an exceptional year and then kind of dying off. But I think that year would be a good type of comparison because obviously nobody's looking at the Pacers as one of those top teams.
Sure.
But I think they're going to surprise a few people and they might knock out your favorite team in the East in the first round.
The East,
It's iffy. It's weird.
what's interesting about the league this season is it feels like both conferences have a clear number 1, number 2. And then from there, from that 3 seed on, it's a mixed bag. it genuinely feels like a mixed bag. You know who the top dogs are going to be at the end of the season, but that 3 through 8, that 3 through 10, 3 through 11, maybe even 12, like it is so tough to know. I think that's what makes this regular season so exciting, is because in years past, you knew it was going to be Golden State versus Cleveland, right? In years past, you knew LeBron James was going to be there. You could watch some of these super teams and you knew they were going to make it. You knew Shaq and Kobe were going to be there, whatever the case may be, whoever the reigning dynasty was. The Spurs were always going to be in contention. This year, you've got clear top dogs, but there's one or two in each conference. You don't really know. The play style is so different. Who actually can come out on top? And then from there, the matchups are so interesting. Who is it in the West? Well, the Nuggets are one.
I know the Nuggets, but are
and
you
the
putting
Suns? The Suns are the other.
Too?
The Suns have to be. Yeah, it's the Nuggets and the Suns on one side, and it's the Bucks and the Celtics on the other. I mean, those are the clear four. If you're looking straight at rosters, I mean, the Clippers maybe get close in the West, but we've seen these Clippers before, and they've shown us no reason to put faith in them again.
Might have to give Kawhi another year before we start doing that. He's going to need I think he's going to need a little booster year to come back fully
good.
Kawhi.
Good grief. But I think that's what makes this NBA so interesting. Now, when we're looking at those top teams, let's maybe pick an early favorite. I want to know.
I think you said it perfectly fine with those top four, because those have to be the top four as of right now.
They've got to be
with anybody else.
Unless
you're a fan of a team.
Yeah.
I don't know. But the Nuggets didn't change. The Nuggets did not change. Their starting lineup is going to be the exact same. And they switched their bench up a little bit, but they still got Chris Brown. They lost Jeff Green and what's his name? Went to the Pacers.
Bruce Brown.
And Bruce Brown. But they kept their main five. And it's like chemistry really matters. And especially a team coming off of a championship. Like, there's no reason this team should not at least get to the Western Conference Finals. And for teams in the West, the ideal was probably, how do we match ourselves up with the Nuggets? How are we going to do something like that? And I don't know if the Suns are going to be enough to stop them.
I think talking about them makes sense. What I'm curious is, who do you have coming out on top this year? Who's your early NBA champion?
Celtics.
Wow. The Celtics. You're going to put that much faith into Jason Tatum, and I can't dribble with my left hand.
Jaylen Brown, Kristaps Porzingis, right there. That's a great Jrue Holiday on top of that.
Okay.
Then we got Al Horford. Like, what?
Okay, yeah, you lost me at Al.
What's going on?
You lost me.
Derek White, best perimeter, two of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA in the same backcourt. Like, it's tough because the Bucks obviously have two of the best players in the NBA.
They do.
But the Celtics got way better. Like, they got Jrue Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, and they lost Marcus Smart and Malcolm Brogdon. And
the Porzingis pickup, I think, is a good pickup. Okay, so here's my thing. Right, a lot of people, going back to your point with the Nuggets, they're talking about, hey, the bench may not be there. You don't have to have the bench figured out this early. You can round out the bench at the trade deadline. You can pick up some of these players, these buyout contracts, and really round out the bench and be extremely lethal come the second half of the season. You're just trying to string together some wins. You're trying to build that chemistry. And to your point, those five, they've got it. Now, when I'm looking at Boston, I'm not going to say that their talent isn't there. I'm not going to say they're not going to be able to show up on the defensive end. My question is, that's a lot of names that have shown us that they don't hit big shots in the biggest moments. Jrue Holiday misses shots in big time moments. Porzingis misses shots in big time moments. Jaylen Brown turns the ball over in big time moments. And Jason Tatum has disappeared multiple times on the largest stage.
Jason Tatum is showing flashes. You can't tell me he hasn't.
He's
He
also
has his
shown
game
flashes the
sometimes.
opposite way, okay? And you
Yeah.
can't deny that either. So
So I would look for him to be able to deliver this year. That's my expectation.
my pick is definitely not going to be the Celtics. I'm going to pick the one roster that I believe has a legitimate chance to take down a team like the Denver Nuggets, and that is the Milwaukee Bucks. That's right. This is the third time I brought up the Bucks. You're going to be hearing about them all season for me because they are my early pick, and I genuinely think it's the one that makes the most sense. I don't think there's a team that upgraded or improved their weakness more than the Milwaukee Bucks. What was the issue going into last season for the Bucks? It was not having elite shot creation late
That guy
in
who wants to
games.
ball at the end of the game. Yeah.
Correct. Milwaukee they were the best front runner that we've seen in years. If they have an 8-point lead, a 5-point lead at the end of the game, you can give the ball to Giannis. You know he's going to drive down, maybe pick up some fouls, dunk the ball. They're going to get something going in transition. The problem was when you put Milwaukee down by 3 with a minute and a half to go, they just didn't have a guy that could get them over the hump. Middleton's now dealing with some significant injuries. He hasn't been able to string together a healthy season. And because they spent so much of the year blowing teams out with their 3-point shooting, this, that, and the other, they were not prepared when they got to the playoffs to deal with those come from behind situations. Well, guess what they did? They picked up Damian Lillard, the perfect
Best
addition to
shot
that
makers.
roster. One of the best shot makers that we have in the league, especially at his size. They improved their biggest weakness while retaining all of the signature pieces that they need. They still have Giannis. They still have Middleton. They still have Lopez. They've got players on the bench, and they can round the bench out over the course of the season if they need it. They can double down. Maybe they shouldn't have every Antetokounmpo on the roster. Maybe they need to focus more on what it's going to take to win. But when I'm looking at a team that can beat the Denver Nuggets, that matches up 1 through 5 and can throw legitimate bodies at Jokic, that's the team. Because you want to know how you can beat the Denver Nuggets? It's putting Jokic on the bench. And nobody's going to get that man in foul trouble more than Giannis Antetokounmpo in the pick and roll. You get them one-on-one. Giannis is going to drive right past him, dunk the ball, and one. I can see it so clearly in my mind if that's the matchup that we get. And God forbid we see the Suns play Milwaukee, because that might even that's going to be a thrashing. Let me tell you that right now. The Milwaukee Bucks should be the favorite. They're the favorite in my eyes. At the end of the season, you're going to see them hoisting the Larry O'Brien trophy.
We'll talk when the Celtics and Bucks are in the Eastern Conference Finals. I
Yeah.
hope that happens. I really hope that happens.
I mean, this is what we all want to see. Like, we already know what we want to watch. If you think that the Lakers are going to be there at the end, you're just a Laker fan. You're just a Laker fan or a LeBron fan. You're not really big on the league. 1 week of basketball should tell you enough. The soundbite of LeBron talking with the coaches, hey, I can play point guard. The soundbite of LeBron talking with D'Angelo Russell, hey, we need it so and then he just jacks up a 3 and misses it. D'Lo's not going to be there at the trade deadline. The Lakers are not legit contenders. They're the Dallas Cowboys of the season, where they can win. They might win some good games. They're going to be talked about quite a bit. But when you're talking about real teams that are going to win a ring, the Lakers aren't there. The Knicks aren't there. They're in that same tier. As we're going through some of these top teams, I'm looking at the Suns. I'll tell you what, though, man. I don't like Devin Booker's attitude, man. I don't know what it is. It feels like when I watch him in interviews, it feels like when I watch him play on the court, it's like this fake toughness that he gets to show because Kevin Durant's on the team, Bradley Beal's on the team. You remember last year, Ja Morant, I'm fine in the West. This year, Devin Booker, we saw the clip. Respectfully, I don't think there's anybody that can guard us. You're telling me that's not going to come back to bite him down the road. What are your thoughts right now on Devin Booker? What do you see with the Phoenix Suns?
It's it's more of the same. I mean, I guess he gets to talk because he made it to the finals a couple years ago. And I mean, the guy's dropped 70 points, but it just doesn't make sense the way he talks a lot of the time. Coming from the Suns, who are they've never won anything,
They've never
never
won
won anything.
anything. Nope.
And while he's there, they haven't won anything. They made it to the finals, but again, I like how you said there's a difference between confidence and being overly confident. And it feels like he's talking because of the guys that he's with. Like, I can talk like this because I got Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant to back me up. And again, it's like, dude, you haven't done anything. And I definitely get that feeling, like that vibe from him. Like, I'm not worried about anything. We're the Suns. I just got Kevin Durant and Bradley Beal. And it comebacks to bite him a lot of the time. So if they don't get to the finals, it's a bad season for him because of how much he talks up this team and the potential that they have. And yes, the potential's there, but can you actually put it together and do it? Because last time we saw you in the finals, you couldn't do it.
Yeah, there's a couple of thoughts that I have. And the first is I want to bring it back to a very clear example most people will be able to pick up, right? Michael Jordan. When you saw Michael Jordan in interviews, a lot of respect, for who he was playing against, the opposing teams, opposing talent. When talking about his own team, he was confident. He believed that they would be successful, but he respected the opposition. Now, we hear from other players about MJ's attitude on the court, maybe some of the things that would set him off, some of the things that he would say on the floor. But when he talked to media, there was a different level of respect. Tom Brady, another great example of a guy who always respectful with the media. But when you saw him on the field, the guy went into just this psycho mode and was dominant. That's the thing with Devin Booker that's a problem with me. He hasn't won anything. And so what right does he have to be able to say these things? The last thing that bothers me with Devin Booker, and this is something we see from Jason Tatum as well, is instead of building their own foundation, I feel like it's built off of Kobe Bryant's Mamba mentality. And we've got to reach a point where Mamba mentality is great and Kobe was great. But you got to do this this has got to come from you. For this to feel real, for it to be authentic, for it to be something that I'm going to buy into, I need to see that it's real. And if you keep pointing at Kobe, I'm sorry. I just can't buy into that. Mamba mentality as an inspiration into building who you are and what you do, I'm here for that. But when you're so focused on somebody else, how am I supposed to believe in you?
Yeah, Jason Tatum did this. He put it on, I think, his Instagram story or his Snapchat story. And it was like, I got you today or something like that. And it was a text to Kobe. And it's little things like that. Like, you can use a player in the past as motivation or an example for you. But the moment you start overusing it and making it kind of yourself, it definitely starts to take away from you as a player. Like you said, you look at Kobe and you don't think of him being the same as Jordan. He's got his own thing. He's got that Mamba mentality. These new players need to want to have their own thing while trying to emulate certain things from other players. But it's coming off as it's just social media. It kind of ruins it because you portray a certain thing, the media portrays them a certain way too, and they're not really helping themselves by going over this Mamba mentality or Jason Tatum wearing the same outfit that Kobe wore for his tryout with the Celtics. Little things like that will just, I feel like, definitely bring a player down from where they were in terms of their mentality.
I think it's why Anthony Edwards feels so authentic and so easy to rally behind because he's just himself. He just wants to get better. He just wants to win games. Like I think he's why I can. That's a player I can get behind because he's genuinely out there, just playing ball, being who he is, getting better every year.
Yeah, he talks his trash. He
Oh
says some
yeah,
things in the media, but with him, it's never as much putting down players than it is talking about himself or joking around about other players. But with especially Devin Booker, it always seems like he's trying to put somebody down or call somebody out more than somebody like Anthony Edwards is.
yeah. Like trying to get into that beef with Paul George, and Paul George was like, "Bro, what are you like?
Just
What are you
completely
doing?"
unnecessary, just stuff like
Just
that. And
and it's
he's
like,
just doing
bro,
it so he can, like, have a callback, like, if they beat them in the playoffs or
yeah.
something, but I feel like you're just setting yourself up for more controversy, more failure by doing stuff like that.
And you know what? You riled up Paul George too, because he said, "Hey, I got something for you." So we're about to see. That's the game I've got circled on my calendar. I'm gonna be watching it. Devin Booker, you better show up because you created this fake. Like, what was so funny about that clip was Clay was like apologizing. Genuinely, he was like, "That was my bad, man. He was killing me. I said something. I felt the type of way. That was my bad." And then Devin Booker was like, "Are you not like? Do you have a competency problem? Like, do you not understand what just happened here? Like, was there nobody that explained to you that that was an
He
apology?"
needs to have that drive, man. Things can never just be okay for Devin Booker, I guess. He needs to have
Yeah.
somebody on the opposite end of him to compete with.
Well, we'll just have to see kind of what takes place. In talking about some of the NBA news around the league, one that's maybe a little bit lighter of a topic. Dwight Howard has made headlines yet again, not for
Wrong choice of
reasons that
words.
not for reasons
Lighter.
that we've seen in a while. Roman, tell the people why is Dwight Howard? Why is he on my timeline?
Dwight Howard for the past few years has been in a little bit of a controversy with him opening up about his sexuality and certain interactions that he's had. And there's been a callback to him having, was it glute soreness? Is that what it was? Is that what they called it?
He had glute soreness and missed games. Yes.
Glute soreness and missed games. And recently, was it on a live video?
He gets on live, right? There's allegations. There had been allegations years prior that he uh, might swing the other way, and he denied them at the time. But there were clips of him reaching down and kind of getting his teammates in the wrong spot, or maybe for him the right spot. We don't know. And then you look at his list of injuries, and it was like lower back, glutes, and was missing games for these things. And people were kind of starting to ask questions. And then, when given the chance on IG Live to deny all of these rumors, he instead decided to say that what he does in the bedroom is his own business and completely left it up to interpretation, which,
Which is the worst thing you could do as somebody who is
yeah,
that covered by all of the NBA, and so many NBA fans are just major trolls. So they're just gonna take it and run with that.
yeah,
You
and
could
then
have
they
said
did.
no comment. You could have said so many things, but by you saying what I do in the bedroom is my business, leaves it up for interpretation. People start digging for things in the past. More clips go viral. He's got to be doing this on purpose at this point.
He's got to be doing it to stay relevant because this is how he stays. He made it to our podcast, right? So this is how he stays relevant. I want to transition this to another 7-footer. That's Chet Holmgren. And this is not to talk about his game on the court, which you've been impressed with. This is to call out Chet's barber. NBA players make a lot of money. And what I don't understand is how his barber, his loved ones, his friends let him step onto the basketball court looking like the 2023 equivalent of Abraham Lincoln. I don't know if I've seen a worse fade. I don't know what is going on with the no mustache, long beard, but genuinely, he looks awful. And
He
I,
looks interesting. Like he looks
but not in a
different than
good
what you would
way.
expect.
Not in a good way.
No, definitely
Not
not.
he looks kind of like a guy that if you looked over in your car and saw them next to you at a stop, you'd be like, "Oh my gosh." Like you'd be like, "Did I just see what I think I just saw?" I mean, what are we doing? What are we doing? He's paying someone money to do this. I just like
It's
pull up.
very interesting, and he didn't always have this cut. Like
No,
his
pull
hair
up the
used
picture
to
when
look
he.
good.
Oh my gosh.
He looks like the villain in that one
He's
Disney movie where it was like a basketball movie and they were like it was like
with the
leprechauns or something
leprechaun.
like that.
With the yeah. Okay.
He looks like that guy.
Luck of the Irish from 2001, dude. That is brutal. When the dude turns into like a demon leprechaun thing in the
Yes.
basketball game, it's Chow Holmgren. Oh man, dude.
That's exactly what he looks like. Like that's what that made me think of.
That is
He
a
he
wild
looks like an
comparison.
evil giant leprechaun. That's what he looks like.
It's just
Now he
bad.
definitely needs a haircut and uh, a shave.
Listen, man, beard, no mustache is just not it.
It's wild.
Beard, no mustache is
Wild.
not it.
Gotta be a special
2023,
type of person to pull
2024.
that off.
It's not it. Don't do it. Do not do it. Okay. Hey, taking a look at some other NBA news. Chris Paul finally comes off the bench for the first time in his 1,366th NBA game. I'm not going to act like I'm surprised by this. This is what was supposed to happen.
I like it. I don't mind it. As long as he's okay with it now. Because I remember him a few months ago saying that he wasn't that's not gonna happen. You remember him saying that?
Yeah, but Carmelo said the same thing. It was an inevitability. Like, let's just be real.
He's been putting up great numbers though. Like
Yeah, sure. No, for sure.
have you been like his assist to turnover ratio through these first few games? Unbelievable. Like that's what he's there for. And I'm excited to see how they use him. And mid-range pull-up looks great. They just gotta stay healthy.
Yep. Other NBA news, Damian Lillard, 39 points, iced the game for this first game with Milwaukee. Just such a good game to watch. Such a good game to watch. Turns around, puts up an absolute stinker. I'm not surprised by this. I'm not going to overreact. Only time will tell what's going to happen. James Harden was ready to travel with the team. And the Sixers said, I don't think so, brother. We don't even know what kind of shape you're in. Very interesting.
Did you see what the newest news is with that?
Oh, what you got?
Nick Nurse asked him to practice with the G League affiliate. So expect someone who's on James Harden possibly practicing with the 76ers G League team.
Why do you think that is?
Our former G League NBA champs. So, you know, it could be good for him.
Yeah, no. Why do you think that is? Unbelievable.
Because he needs to work his way up. He's done some awful things this summer. I think some of the stuff about him saying that he hates the GM because they promise him stuff is true. But I think the way he went about it is awful. I mean, he didn't need to do it that way. So I think making him start from the bottom as sort of a punishment would be pretty good and would make sense because there are consequences for your actions as good as you are at basketball.
We saw what this dude had on signs in the club about the GM. I think it makes sense not to just let him waltz right into the next practice, especially because Joel Embiid already is more of an emotional player. There's been a disconnect between some of the star talent there and management. You want to make sure that he's coming in for the right reasons. What better way to do it than put him in a position where they can see him play, they can see what kind of shape he's in, but it's not something that's going to impact the chemistry of the team any more than it already has. It makes sense to me.
Slow start. He's going to have some consequences for his actions.
Let's close this podcast out with a draft, Roman. We're going to do an all-time starting 5 NBA draft. You versus me. Who gets first pick? Rock, paper, scissors for first pick. Close your eyes and do your pick. And
Okay, got it. I like
fine.
that. I like that.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ah!
Got him.
All right.
All-time starting 5 draft. With my first pick, I'm going to take Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Oh, really? That's a surprise. Then I'll take LeBron.
Okay. With my second pick, I'm going to take Shaquille O'Neal.
With my second pick, I'm going to take Kobe Bryant.
Good pick. With my third pick, give me, man, who do I want to pair? This is where stuff gets tough. Give me Kevin Durant.
Ooh. With my third pick, give me Magic.
With my fourth pick, I'll take Steph Curry.
With my fourth pick, I will take Kareem.
With my fifth pick, give me Hakeem Olajuwon.
With my fifth pick, give me Tim Duncan.
Okay. Okay, that's not bad.
This will be interesting. I like this.
That is not bad. What a matchup, dude.
So you've got.
So I've got Steph, MJ, Durant, Hakeem, Shaquille O'Neal.
And I've got Magic, Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan, and Kareem.
That's a lot of Lakers. You went.
I got the Lakers and Tim Duncan.
You got the Lakers and Tim Duncan. Well, we know what jersey you're wearing.
Great matchup.
Wait, who did you think I was going to take with the first pick?
I thought you were going to take Mike, but I thought you might, for some reason, go LeBron.
No, there was a good chance. I could have taken
all-round player.
In retrospect, I don't think taking LeBron would have been a bad pick. I just think it would have put me behind the 8 ball and getting the players I wanted, because I really wanted Shaq. And if I would have taken LeBron first, I know that I don't get Shaq.
Shaq is the only one that outweighs. You can match up pretty well, but Shaq is it's Shaq.
Well, and everybody's gonna say well, Shaq got dominated by Hakeem. Well, I've got Hakeem on my team, so I took away his counter. Now what?
But you counter it with another all-defensive guy all time, Tim Duncan.
Yeah, Shaq's feasting.
Kareem.
Yeah, no.
Kareem is handling all that. Nope. Prime
Kareem is just getting.
Maybe I should have gone Wilt. Maybe I should have gone Wilt just for the pure talent. Wilt will give me 150.
Yeah, not against my starting 5. I mean, also my team's I do have MJ, who's an all defensive player.
Your team is not better defensively than mine. No.
Yeah,
you have Kevin Durant, and my team is tall. My shortest guy is 6'6".
You have no outside shooting. You have no outside shooting. You can't shoot from the outside.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe's a below average 3-point shooter.
Not on this team.
Below average.
Nope. No.
And you have Magic. You have Magic and LeBron, which means you have two.
We're gonna do great. We're gonna do great.
No, you don't want both. You don't want both.
We would beat your team.
You don't want both.
We would beat your team. We'd beat your team.
We're gonna have to let America decide. I'm genuinely curious on this one. Who do you think has
I've got more winners on my team? Kevin Durant kind of hurts you. He hurts you in general, besides the scoring.
That's what we need him for. Scoring and spacing. I have better floor spacing than you. My floor spacing is elite.
I've got more winners.
Okay, what are we doing? What are we doing?
I've got more winners.
You've got more losers too.
I can match your 6 rings with a guy who also has 6 rings.
You have more losers too. You've lost more finals than my team has.
But I have more winners. Kevin Durant.
Does that mean anything
so much
you?
By only having 2 rings? I've got guys who have
also lost way more than me.
My player with the least rings is LeBron James with 4 rings. And this is LeBron James.
How many finals have you lost? Magic?
Quite a bit.
He's lost finals. Kobe? He's lost some finals. LeBron has lost quite a few finals. Tim Duncan, also a loser. And so is Kareem.
Not a loser. He's lost before. Don't call Tim Duncan a loser.
In true Skip Bayless fashion, I'm the only one with a player that's never lost in the finals, and that's Michael Jordan.
Nah, Kobe's gonna match up well with him. That's all.
I don't know
We
about
can't
that.
compare eras, but I'm just saying Kobe matches up well with Michael Jordan.
Well, I can tell you this. We're going to have to let the people decide. Genuinely curious what you guys think. That's season 2, episode 1 of the Swishlist Podcast. We are back. Season 2, the pilot. And as Roman's season kicks off, hopefully we get to see him on the court as well. Maybe we'll be able to post some highlights here for the true fans, maybe on the YouTube channel. Yeah, we'll put some clips on the YouTube channel, man. That'll be a good time. It may be a new season, but some things never change. Roman, send us off.
Thank you to all the new listeners. Thank you to all the returners. We're happy to be back for another season. Follow us on all your favorite platforms. We are there. If you're not subscribed, what are you doing? If you're not liking, it's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. In the words of DeMarcus Cousins, we're keeping that for season 2.
We have to.
It's getting ridiculous. This is Swishlist Podcast, episode 1, season 2, signing off.